In this movie, I'll show you how to save a document to the native AI or Adobe Illustrator format. Take a look at the name of the document up here in the title tab. It says 8pagenewsletter.ai with an asterisk at the end of it. That asterisk indicates that we have unsaved changes. You can update the file on disk in one of two ways. Go to the File menu and choose the Save command, which will overwrite the existing file. Thing is, if you choose the Save command in the case of this specific file, you'll see this warning message. And what it's telling you is that when you save to a legacy format, you can lose stuff. Basically, as you'll see shortly, Illustrator allows you to save to a lot of its older file formats, which is a very good thing if you want to share files with other people, such as in the case of me sharing files with you. Now, this file happens to be saved in the CS4 format, and that's because I want people who have CS4 and later to be able to open this file. I've made sure that every single file I give you is still compatible with the newest version of the software, so you have nothing to worry about. So what I'd like you to do is click on the Don't Show Again checkbox, and then go ahead and click OK if you want to save the changes to this file. In my case, I'm going to cancel out because I want to save a new version of this file. So I'll go up to the File menu and I'll choose the Save As command, where you can press the shortcut Control-Shift-S or Command-Shift-S on a Mac. And that'll bring up the Save As dialog box. Notice that I'm already pointed to my 01 Make Doc folder. So I'm just going to give this file a new name, and that name will be, let's say, New Numbers. And now I'll click on the Save button in order to bring up the Illustrator Options dialog box. It's a pretty complex dialog box. I'm going to walk through how it works. However, if you just want to save a standard document, all you have to do is click on the OK button and you're done. But here's what's going on. We've got this version option, as you can see here. And Illustrator does allow you to go back way to previous versions of the software. So in other words, if you're working with someone who doesn't have the most recent version of Illustrator, you can save off a file that they could use. Thing to bear in mind is each step backward loses features. So for example, if I were to select the Illustrator CS3 format, then Illustrator is going to tell me down here that saving to a legacy format may cause some changes to your text layout and disable some of the editing features when the document is read back in. Also, any hidden appearance attributes will be discarded. Problem is that that's pretty vague. There's this one specific item about the hidden appearance attributes. Otherwise, you don't know, for example, that one of the things you're going to lose is your multiple artboards, because Illustrator CS3 didn't support multiple artboards. That feature was introduced in Illustrator CS4. So you kind of have to know what's going on with the previous formats. If you were to work with CS3, then you probably want to go ahead and save each one of the artboards to a separate file, and you can either save all the artboards, all 8 of them, to separate files, or you could define a range. I could say 2 and also, 5 through 7. So that would indicate pages 2, 5, 6, and 7. Safest thing to do, though, is to go ahead and stick with either Illustrator CS6, or you just lose a few features if you go back to Illustrator CS5. Nothing inside of this file, actually. But I'll go ahead and stick with CS6. The safest thing to do, by the way, is to make sure you save at least one version of the file to the CS6 format. Then if you want to save a backward compatible version, you can do that as well. And that way you're fully protected. Subset fonts, you don't need to worry about that. Create PDF compatible file. This one's really interesting. If you have this checkbox turned on as by default, then you can, 2 things. Open the file inside the free Adobe Reader, so the person doesn't have to have Illustrator to take a look at your file. And you can download the free Adobe Reader from adobe.com. And the other thing is you can place the file into a different application, such as InDesign. InDesign requires this checkbox to be turned on. As for the next 2 checkboxes, you want to have them turned on because you do want to embed a color profile so that the colors on another person's screen, assuming that it's calibrated, will match the colors that you saw. And you want to use compression. That is lossless compression, by the way. It bears no resemblance to JPEG, for example, so it's not going to do any harm to your file. And then, presumably, we'd actually want to turn this checkbox, save each artboard to a separate file, off so that we're saving a single multi-page document. And then I'll drop down here and click on the OK button. There are a couple of other things to know about saving, just in passing here. I'll go back to the File menu and choose the Save As command. I want you to see how there's this Save As Type option here, which allows you to specify different file types. the most common of which are PDF and EPS. So if you wanted to create a straight PDF file that you can open once again in the free Adobe Reader or inside Acrobat Professional, then you could choose this, but by default, a .ai file is already compatible with Adobe Reader and so forth because it's got that embedded PDF description of the file. So there's not really a reason specifically to choose PDF. And then finally, there's EPS. This is a very popular format. Back in the day, we used to use it for everything. Anytime you wanted to create an illustration and place it into, say, PageMaker or QuarkXPress, you would go with EPS. But InDesign totally changed that. You don't need EPS if you work with InDesign. You can place AI files directly. So the only reason to go the EPS route is to create a very backward compatible version of the file that you're going to place in some older version of QuarkXPress, for example. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out. That is everything there is to know about saving a file. In the next movie, I'll show you how to close multiple documents in one operation.